Hello, it's Rodney Allgood. Welcome to the Q&A sessions. But we do this on Thursdays where we take a couple of our members and we answer their questions live for you. We like to do this because oftentimes people have the same questions. And when one person gets them answered, everybody gets them answered. So today we have our two guests, Kathy and Denise. We're going to add them to the stream. How you doing, Kathy and Denise?
Hello.
Okay, so this should be interesting because both of you have been out for a long time, and for those of you who have been out for a long time, this might be a really good episode for you because you have different questions than people who have just left. So we're going to start with you, Denise, while Kathy is getting her headset. But let's start with you.
Okay, I can hear very well. Thank you.
Yay.
So, Denise, what question do you want to start off with?
Basically, just very briefly, when I was growing up, my stepfather was very violent my entire growing up. And he also did very unspeakable things. So as you can imagine, and no story that you haven't heard before. And when I was 21, I just wasn't swallowing all of the rules and everything, and things just didn't add up. So I wound up moving out on my own. I didn't want to get married early. I was working in corporate America. And one day I stopped by my mom's house to visit her. And when she answered the door, she had been completely beaten up by my stepfather.
Oh dear.
And she took me into her bedroom, and it was clearly very upsetting. And he had destroyed every single personal item that she had with a mallet or something. So I said, you need to call the elders. This is absolutely ridiculous. And she basically said that she had been going to them for years, and they told her that she needed to go home and be a better wife so she wouldn't get beat.
Right.
So with that, what I just put together was that the elders knew everything that had been going on in our family for years and did nothing to protect us. So in one moment, my whole world collapsed and exploded at the same time. And there was just no way that I could continue to support that. And my whole life had been a lie. So I quickly left. I severed my relationship, and I had no plan. So that's when I was 21. So, and you can just fill in all the steps, between then and now. So I've worked really hard on understanding trauma, and it really has been very recently that I've been able to feel that I could trust that process, and not feel I'm going against anybody, the rules, and be apostate. So it's only been really the last 2 years that I've been able to even talk about my upbringing and the religion and, understand kind of why I always stuck. So with a lot of the work that I've done, I really am looking to find out, and possibly, how you've done it in terms of finding your purpose and, really come to clarify who you are as a person. I'm kind of in that real stuck zone with that.
Okay, so ex-witnesses have a particular problem with this because from the time you're a kid, your life is defined for you, right? So
Yeah.
areas that you would naturally move toward, you're prevented from doing. Like if you're a kid and you were drawn to maybe be in theater as a teenager, you can't do it, right? Or
Right.
dance,
Yep.
or art, or different things that you may have easily gravitated toward. Well, number one, realize this: that children are closer to the truth than adults.
Mhm.
And you go all the way back to when you were a toddler and look at your life and look at what drew you. Okay. Like for me, looking back, I connected the dots. I was always that guy when I was a witness that was emceeing people's weddings. I was that guy.
Mhm.
We did 15 weddings.
I
I
can
was
see that.
always that guy on stage,
Yeah.
right? I remember coaching things. Coaching when my kid was little, I coached the sports teams. I let him play sports. When I go back to when I was a kid, I would organize things. I was the guy getting everybody together to go to the movies, and we'd have 30 people or go ice skating, or I was the organizer, right?
Mhm.
So as I go back in my life, I start seeing all these little signs. And if you look at my life today, I use all of them.
Yeah.
There's a reason why the group grows as it does. There's a reason why I'm always presenting, right?
Mhm.
There's a reason why I'm always coaching people. So going back, looking at my life, picking up the clues of what I love, and
Mhm.
also realizing the season of life I'm in. You see, what may have motivated you in your 20s and 30s won't motivate you in your 40s and 50s. It
Yeah,
keeps
it's very different.
it
Yeah.
keeps changing, right? So
Mhm.
there'll be a time. Do you have kids, Denise?
Yes,
Okay.
two college bound.
Right. So for a long time, being a mother was like
Mhm.
everything, right? Now
Mhm.
you're in a different season of life. A lot of people get that empty nest syndrome, and what do I
Mhm.
do now, right? Because that defined you. You have to look at where your gifts, what you're able to do well, how does it benefit other people? In
Mhm.
this season of your life, it's almost always going to be about how what you do benefits others.
Mhm.
Mhm.
What makes you cry? Like for me, watching the Olympics makes me cry. When I see people on the podium, I get a tear in my eye. What
Mhm.
does that mean? It means I love watching people win.
Mhm.
So that's why I do what I do today. I love watching people win, so I want to help people win. So look at all the clues that life gives you.
Mhm.
What are you naturally good at? What do you have a passion for? What things do you want to maybe eradicate? It could be working with, abused women. And maybe you've been through that and you want to help people with that. Maybe it's you've learned something in the corporate world that you want to teach people mindset. Whatever it is that comes easy to you,
Mhm.
it's your path. Look at
Mhm.
what's always come easy to your whole life,
Mhm.
and then see what season of life you're in. Think about when you were young, what you gravitated toward, and also think about when you're really old. What could I look back on when I'm really old to say, you know what, I'm glad I did that.
Mhm.
You know what? It might be the end of my days, but my footprints are still in the sand over there.
Mhm.
It's still echoing. The effect of my life is still echoing over
Right.
there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
You have a big energy about you. I see it. It's powerful. You have a very strong energy about you. Where can you use that
Mhm.
benefit others? Because at this stage of life, we're probably close to the same age. Money in and of itself doesn't motivate me.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way.
Right. Right. I'm not saying it's not a part of things. Of course,
Right.
it's an engine to a lot of things, but it has to be a bigger purpose.
Mhm.
It has to matter. The older I get, it's more legacy. What did I do while I was here? Whose
Mhm.
lives did I touch? So try to figure out where all the things you've done can benefit you.
Mhm.
I'm using my past as a Jehovah Witness to do this work here.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense though.
But
Mhm.
my passion is not just for ex-Jehovah Witnesses. I'm a motivational speaker. I speak to all kinds of groups, right? But I'm using wherever I've been to my benefit today. So
Mhm.
look at your life, whether it's being a mother, whether it's being in the corporate world, whether it's being a wife, maybe it's going through things that you overcome. Look at where you can maybe package that and
Mhm.
add value in some way to others. Because what happens is when we do that is we make our entire past valuable,
Mhm.
regardless if it was good or bad. It becomes valuable. It's a treasure chest
Mhm.
if we look at it the right way. So I guarantee you, just looking at you, the way you present yourself, your energy, you have something so powerful to share. And just look at what comes easy to me,
Mhm.
what makes me cry, what stirs my emotions in any direction. If something
Mhm.
makes you sad, something makes you really happy, something makes you cry, if something's tapping that emotion,
Mhm.
then that's a clue that that means something to you. And
Okay.
as long as you're doing something with meaning, you're going to
Mhm.
feel like it's a purpose.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, and don't question yourself. Don't look for validation from anybody else.
Right.
So
At this age, forget it.
right, right. And remember this, the answers are always in you, not
Mhm.
outside. It's already in you. And
Okay.
your answer was in you when you were born.
I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah.
No.
So also before we go on to the next question, there's probably been a voice in you
Hmm.
your whole life that was just chirping,
It's very
chirping,
small.
chirping, right?
Yeah.
But let that voice get louder and louder and louder. It's there.
Okay.
Go in to find it.
Okay.
All right, Kathy, what do you got?
Well, I've really appreciated everything here said. My voice has told me for years I had to write. So when
Mm.
I retired 5 years ago, I mean, I would go on vacations and I'd get a new notebook and I would write a few pages and I'd say I'm going to do it every day, and that lasted a week, and and then I got back into the work and got busy. But I truly thought my whole life I have to write about my life so that people understand Jehovah's Witnesses, understand that it's a cult, understand the damage that it does to families. But I wrote it in what I believe was a, I'll say, positive way, if you will. I mean, I had plenty of terrible things, but mine started, as you say, Rodney, it started as a child. I always loved children. I just loved children. There were two families at the hall. They each had four kids. I was the favorite babysitter. And so when I was 8 years old, my book's called Where's Jimmy? When I was 8 years old, a little witness boy had leukemia. He was someone I was like a big sister to, and they always brought me in to play with him very gently. And he died when he was 4.
Mm.
I just loved Jimmy with everything. When his parents no longer were witnesses, often happens, a child dies, it was the only child, they divorced, they remarried, they joined other churches. And so my father said, this was in the 60s, and I'm being told paradise is coming and I'm going to get a play with Jimmy. One of the hardest blows within a year or two after him dying, so I'm about 9, 10 years old, is he's gone. I'll never see him again. And, he's gone. Jehovah's not going to remember him. He's not baptized. His parents won't. His parents left, so it's their fault. But that answer just
Mhm.
bounced in my head. It's never stopped bouncing. So for me, where's Jimmy? So my whole life, and it was really even just finding his grave, which was quite an adventure, that I kind of record that too, which I found after I retired within the last 5 years. So I, wrote an outline, and, it kind of ends up being, well, what's the afterlife, which we really don't know. I mean, no one really knows. But, this is what witnesses say. What do the major religions say? What do people think? And I'm not saying, I don't say I believe this or that. I just say there's a lot of questions, and it's the children. It's the children. So when I heard about Silent Lambs, I was so excited. I mean, as I say, I've just stumbled into Facebook and these groups in the last year.
Mm.
And it was my son. Thank God my sons were 2 and 4 when I left, so they weren't raised as witnesses. But my one son said, well, let me get on these ex-JW groups and tell them about your book. And I'm like, okay. And so what should I do? And he's telling me some of them and to get on. And so it's through there. I feel like my whole life I've kind of tripped along and things come to me. And
So
so children.
I gotta keep this on topic.
Yes.
Do you have a question?
Well, I've written the book. I try to be positive, but I feel like there's another thing I should be doing, Rodney, and I'm not sure what that is.
Okay.
Like I say, I'm almost 70. I've thought about my legacies and those kinds of things. And I almost feel like, do I write another book? Um, I wanted a psychologist to write the book with me. So as each phase of my life, how this cult affected me. And that sticks
How
with
did it
me.
feel writing the book?
Pardon?
How did it feel writing the book?
Oh my gosh, it was a roller coaster. It
Okay.
was painful to the point of putting chapters aside. I sat down, I wrote down 25 chapter titles. Some of them were kind of fun. Not all my life's been miserable,
So I'm
but
asking
some
this
of them
question
were very
for me, please.
painful. Hmm.
Do you like the process of writing?
Yes, I do.
Is it fun? Okay.
I
So is
do.
it possible that you are an author who can write
I,
about many things?
that's what I'm not sure about because I feel like, okay, I knew my life, I can write that.
Right.
But I do feel that I love to research. I constantly research. I
Okay.
search for answers.
But
So I do want to write something.
right. So could it be
Hmm.
that you're at 70 years old, you've lived a long time, so you've got a lot of experience. What would it feel like to write a book? Maybe it's fiction. Maybe it's just, maybe you've always had that calling to write because it's what you do well if you allow yourself to. Could that be true?
Maybe, maybe books about children,
Yeah,
for children.
right. So it doesn't necessarily have to do with your past as a Jehovah's Witness.
Right.
It
I
could
don't.
be that that was your entryway to allow
Hmm.
you the experience to show you the process of writing a book, right? There's a process,
Okay,
there's
that makes
writing,
sense.
there's editing, there's the cover, there's all kinds of things
Hmm.
to get it done. Now you know the process. Well, why don't you just let your brain go and
Ah,
become bigger than your experience of a Jehovah's Witness? And write
okay.
about things that make you smile and make you happy and allow yourself to just become a butterfly in it all because it sounds like you have an ability to write. So some people have an ability with the written word. It just comes very easily to them. I have an ability with the spoken word. That's why I'm a
Hmm.
speaker. But guess what? I don't only want to speak about Jehovah Witness stuff.
Right. Me
That's
either.
why I
I'm
go to
done with
schools
that.
and I go to
Yeah.
universities and I go to corporations and
Hmm.
I love to speak about all kinds of things because I have the gift with words. You have the gift with words written. So
Okay.
what if you explore that? What a legacy to have two or three books that you leave here when this journey is done for you. You got these books out there. Maybe they're children's books, and the fact that when you're done, they're still out there. I mean, I think it's great that YouTube videos that I've made, if I'm not here tomorrow, people will be watching
Yeah.
them 10 years from now. So why don't you just put as much of yourself out there if you feel a calling, if you feel the talent, if you feel the gift to write, explore it. Maybe you are an author.
Ah,
And
wow.
when you own that, everything opens up.
I am an author.
There you go. I love it. You see the way you beamed when you said it, right? So
Well, it's, yeah, claiming that is just, yeah. Growing
explore
up, I didn't,
Explore
I
it. You're
don't know.
retired. You got the time.
Yes,
Let your
I do.
brain and your imagination go wild because listen, the fountain of youth is the reflection of your dreams. So that glimmer that people have in their eye, that
Mhm.
sparkle, that's the reflection of your dreams. So at 70 to be able to have that, have something that you're excited
Mhm.
about, how cool is that?
That's cool.
So read some books, get inspired, and let's let your brain go because you've got the time to do it now. And
And I
then
have a 7-year-old grandson
yeah,
who
there you go.
just lights me up
Right. So right,
in a good way.
right kids that you think your grandchild would be excited about and see where it goes. Go explore it.
Good. I guess I kind of want to almost not have to do something with
Yeah,
witnesses anymore.
yeah, exactly. There's so much more to life, right? So
Mhm.
go where your joy is. I love it.
Okay, it's
Okay, let's go
time.
back. Let's go back to Denise.
So it's very understandable that, we grew up where we weren't really supposed to give ourselves focus because that would be selfish. So I was curious how you kind of pushed yourself through in terms of self care and also fun and just enjoying having meaningful fun and spontaneous, that kind of thing.
So first, let's deconstruct what we were taught. Why were we not supposed to give ourselves focus?
Well, we'd be selfish
Why is that selfish?
because it's taking away the attention from the religion.
Is that really selfish?
No.
Right. So when you just deconstruct it, faith is between you and your higher power, whatever you believe that is. Who said it's about a religion?
Mhm.
See, what that is when an organization is trying to suck everyone's energy
Right.
because they want it for themselves.
Right.
You see, people's energy and people's subconscious mind and the energy that goes with that, that's a lot of power.
Hmm.
And if they can focus it all for their attention, then they can achieve all kinds of stuff, right? I mean, when they took everybody's attention and we're going to make a quick build Kingdom Hall and build an entire building over a weekend.
Yeah.
We know what that is? That's a lot of people's energy.
Right.
And look at the magic that happens when you put everybody's energy to serve someone else's purpose.
Hmm.
And that same person who gave you all that energy slipped up, make a mistake, and you're out of here, buddy.
Right.
Right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
self-focus is important because the more fulfilled and the more full you are, the more you get to give away to everybody else. A cup that's overflowing
Hmm.
can give other people a drink. A cup that's empty can't do very much for anyone.
Right.
So let's change the perspective here. If I were to ask you, your kids are little,
Hmm.
and you're out with your kids and you're starving. You're in a situation where you need some food. Everybody's weak. You stumble across some food. What do you do with it?
Eat it.
You and your kids. What do you
We'll
do?
give it to them. Give it to them.
Right, and that's most people's thinking.
Right. Yeah.
But when mommy falls away, how do your kids survive?
Right. They don't.
Mommy needs to eat first.
I'm still working on that one.
Yeah.
That's the most loving thing you could do for your kids is to make sure you're still there because they're toast if you're not there.
Right.
So all you really have in this life is yourself.
Mhm.
So if you don't take care of your body, you talked about taking care of your physical self. What do you have when you don't have your health? Not
Nothing.
much.
Yeah.
Right? What do you have when you haven't taken care of yourself financially?
The ruins. Yeah.
What do you have when you haven't taken care of yourself in whatever you deem to be spirituality today? You see, taking care of yourself is what takes care of other people.
Hmm.
So people say sometimes, they ask me, they go, Rodney, how do you do what you do? Because I'm on the phone every day with heavy stuff. I'm, and I say, I'm good to me. You know how I do all this? Because I'm good to me.
Hmm.
I don't take away from me to do this ever. Because if I did, I'd be empty. I keep my cup full.
So what does that look like, in terms of your self-care with all those points that you mentioned?
It means as soon as I get done this, I'm off to go have a good time.
Okay, that's number one.
It's putting priority on yourself. It's this is how most people live life. If your calendar, if a bunch of people are meeting with you tomorrow, and you said to yourself, I'm going to go to the gym at 9, okay? And someone says, hey, Denise, can we talk at 9? Then you'd look at your calendar and go, yeah, because not another client isn't there.
Right.
You were just going to the gym. You blow that off.
Right.
No, going to the gym is an appointment with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's as important as any other appointment on that calendar. No, I'm booked at 9.
Right.
Right? Because you are important.
Mm-hmm.
So people tend to make themselves very small, very unimportant, and everybody else comes before they do. And then they get sucked dry. No, you have to put a priority on yourself because no one else is.
Right.
And it's not selfish at all. It's knowing that you have your spot. It doesn't take away from these spots that other people have, but you have yours.
So how do you get from the logic and push through to the other side?
The discipline of just doing it.
Okay.
Now, are people going to get disappointed at times? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But how people take things is not your responsibility.
Well, and it's uncomfortable too,
It's uncomfortable.
even after all this time.
It's uncomfortable. Guess what? When you do uncomfortable things, people actually get a respect for you.
True.
When you're the person that knows how to set boundaries, people actually get respect for you, right? Because you're saying I have value. And when you say I have value, then that tells them she has value.
Mm-hmm.
People don't walk over people like that
Right.
because you know your value and people respond to the value that you're exuding.
Mm-hmm.
So selfish is when you do things that take away from other people.
Mm-hmm.
When you take care of you, you actually can do more for other people. If you took care of yourself financially, can you
Mm-hmm.
do more or less for other people?
Mm-hmm.
More.
More.
You're the one that can write a check into this charity, or somebody needs a hand. Yeah, I got you. You're that person.
Mm-hmm.
But when you think it's selfish for you to have, then you can't do anything for anyone else, and you have lack yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an attitude of abundance, and you're part of that mix. And you never make yourself not a part of that mix. You're always a part of that mix. You were just raised in an organization that was trying to suck all your energy.
Oh, and that they did.
Right. So it was not
And I can see that now. Yeah.
right. So it was not reciprocal.
Right.
It's not reciprocal.
Yes. Absolutely.
Right. Awesome. Great. Kathy, another question?
I in the last week or so, I came across the word catastrophize. I think
Well, I just
it's
came
what
across it right now.
it was a new. I love new words. I love words. Um, Maybe that's why I should be a writer. No, so it's like when you make something bigger than it is. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like I live in the United States. Hey, we might go to war with Russia or China or whatever, and oh my God, it's Armageddon. I don't do that. I left all that witness catastrophe stuff. But I do tend to, in relationships, um, if I don't hear back from someone, and I'm blessed that my little sister, just in the last 15, 16 years, stopped being a witness. And she's still kind of in the phase to make catastrophes out of what you hear on the news. She goes to the store and feels like she has to buy something for the freezer, put it, stock up on something, because they were having everybody, have their go bags and all that stuff. But it's more on the emotional side, the relationship side, to being confident in relationships because I lost so many. And when Denise first used the word trust, boy, that is such a big one for me. And it's been a struggle. I didn't remarry until I was in my late 40s. So trust was big. And so so that idea of kind of just making things bigger than they really are. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That's all a matter of focus, right?
Yeah. I have to
Here's,
talk myself down.
here's the thing. We are normally right about what we believe. So if you're expecting something to fall out, it probably will.
Mm,
If you're expecting something to work out, it probably will. Um, Living without expectation, right? What is expectation?
uh,
It's unfulfilled. What is disappointment? Disappointment is unfulfilled expectation. So a lot of times we're putting expectation on things that don't deserve that expectation. Expectation should be only given where it's earned. So when we get disappointed over and over again, we're normally putting unearned expectation on something or someone. I'll give an example. You need to get to the airport. You call your friend Sally. Sally's the girl that everyone makes fun of because she's always late. We all got a friend like that, right?
yes.
She's always late. So Sally rolls up at your house and you need to get to the airport by noon. And she rolls up at your house about 20 till and you got to drive. You miss your plane. Now you're mad at Sally. Now you're telling Sally, you always do this. You were late to the surprise party that we planned and you ruined the whole thing because you came in at the same time as the guests. You were late to this, you were late to that, you ruined this. Well, Sally's been telling you who she is for years. She's late. So you gave her an unearned expectation to get you to the airport on time. Expectations should be earned. Now, we all also have a friend that's always early. There's never a time that we show up and they're not already there. You want to have
Mhm.
coffee at Starbucks? Well, she's been there for half an hour reading a book.
Yeah.
Annie. Well, Annie has earned the expectation of being on time. So if you called Annie to take you to the airport, she's telling you noon's not good enough. She's helping you get ready and get your things out of in the car.
Mhm.
Like she thinks that's ridiculous. No, we need to leave at 11:30. We need to leave 11:15. She's that girl, right? Now you probably won't be disappointed with Annie because she's earned that expectation. Remember this about relationships. All relationships are like bank accounts.
Mhm.
So when you just start a relationship, there's really hardly any money in the account.
Mhm.
So when somebody disappoints you, it's an easily a bounce check. You start out with $50 in the account, and when somebody disappoint you with $100 check, it bounces in that relation. You're disappointed because there was no money in the account. So until somebody earns the balance, a big balance, you can't have expectation. Now someone's got $1,000 in the bank and they write a $50 check. You're like, no biggie. And the people that you really put your trust in have high balances. So
Mhm.
someone has $100,000 in the bank. They write $100 check. You don't even see it. Doesn't even bother you. That same action by somebody you just met, that's a major bounce check. Or you might have people in your life that all they do is write checks. People are either making deposits in your life or writing checks out. Now, some people are always taking more than they're putting in. Well, sometimes you got to cut those people loose in your life because they've showed you that they're takers. They're rarely putting in; they're always taking out. So, start understanding who people are and don't put expectations on people who did not earn the expectation. Then you'll get disappointed a lot less.
Mhm.
Somebody who has $10,000 in the bank, well, you can trust them. How often does somebody write a $10,000 check? Right? So
Right.
they're always going to have a healthy balance. And if they've got 10 grand in your bank, that means you're always putting in. They're always putting in. And every now and then you make a withdrawal. Withdrawals can come in different ways. It could be that they disappoint you, or it might be every time somebody asks you a favor, that's a little bit of a withdrawal, but it's not big. It's a $5 check, $10 check,
Mhm.
right? But when somebody just keeps writing those and keeps writing those, at some point they start
Yeah.
bouncing checks. Okay. So look at it like that. Just recognize the people who have earned that inner circle value in your life and don't put expectation on those that haven't. Remember,
Okay.
when we were witnesses, we thought that everybody was our friend. I
Yes.
got hundreds and hundreds of friends. No, you had a community.
Mhm.
In real life, we only have a few friends, real friends.
Yeah. I
Everybody else
think
is
that
acquaintances.
that's what's hard. It's there's a couple through business, through associates that I tried to stay friends with, and I probably should have cut them loose long ago.
And also too, there's seasons of life.
Mhm.
Sometimes, reason, season, or lifetime. Sometimes friendships just run their course, and you got to be okay
Mhm.
with letting them go. They change.
Okay.
People's priorities change, or a lot of times we're not the priority that we once were in somebody's life. For me, this just happened for me with somebody that I was really close to. Um, I just realized that I'm not the priority I once was in her life.
Mm.
That doesn't mean that I hate her, doesn't mean I'm mad at her,
Oh.
because I do it too. We all do it. Life changes and people
Mhm.
fall in priority. So you just have to adjust yourself. Like maybe we were both here at one point, right? I kept
Mhm.
her here and she's dropped me here. Well, I got to come here and we can still play. But I can't get offended at it because they have their own lives going on. And sometimes we're just not the priority we once were. And that's okay. We all do it.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Denise?
One thing that continues to be a challenge for me is success with business. And what I would say is I've been very successful. So it's not necessarily the monetary, but it's what I feel like I deserve. And so, for instance, when I was in corporate America, I worked harder than anybody else. I got a lot of accolades. I, achieved a lot, but I always felt like I was going against the rules, and I always felt that something was holding me back. And even though I intellectually can deconstruct, where this came from, I still feel that there is something holding me back from succeeding to my full potential without having this extra weight on me, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So let's break that down. Let's really add some logic to it so that you can see it for what it is. Because all it is a story. It's a story that you were told when you were young, probably, of what your value is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We all deal with this. If we didn't have parents who figured this out themselves and was able to teach us these things, teach us the mindset,
Right.
then it's us that has to break through it.
Right.
Right. So play along with me. Tell me why you're not awesome. Like awesome.
Well, I did not expect that question.
Yep.
Oh, well, I have a whole list for that. So, but we don't have time tonight.
No. Not how you feel.
Okay.
Tangible reasons why not.
Why I'm not awesome?
Awesome.
Well, I feel like I'm not living to my
Yeah,
potential.
I
I feel.
I said not how you feel.
Okay.
Tangible reasons why you're not awesome. Because the feeling is the problem. So we're not going to go with what you feel.
Right.
Tangible reasons why you're not awesome.
Like an example.
No, this is the tangible. Rodney, I'm not awesome because I am this. I just can't. Sometimes I just beat people up for no reason. Tell me why you're not awesome.
Because I'm not perfect.
No, but
I make mistakes.
So show me a perfect person.
I know where you're going with this.
Show me the person you're supposed to be like who's perfect.
I'll have to get back to you.
So for anyone to be awesome, we got to be perfect.
Right.
Is that true?
In my world.
Not your world. I'm talking about the big world.
Okay.
So to be awesome, you have to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Is that true?
Makes sense.
I'm asking you, is that true that you have to be perfect to be awesome?
In the real world, no.
Okay. So we're dealing with the real world.
Yes.
Because what's between your ears is the problem. So we're not going to deal with we're adjusting that. So we're going to talk about the real world. So obviously, people who have done amazing things are flawed.
I'm following you.
Okay. Was Dr. Martin Luther King a pretty awesome dude?
He's accomplished some amazing things.
Right. Pretty awesome things, right?
Right.
Listen, he's been dead for 50 years, and my life is the way it is because of that one man.
Mm-hmm.
Is that awesome?
That is awesome.
And he was very flawed.
Mm-hmm.
Being a human being is to be flawed because that's how we learn and that's how we grow. So when we tell ourselves a story that I'm not great, I'm not awesome because I'm flawed, then nobody's awesome.
Right. It's unachievable.
It's unachievable. And what you're doing is you're making that unachievable.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's unachievable, why do you even want it? I don't wish to fly like a bird because I can't.
Right.
So could you be flawed and be awesome at the same time?
I'm going to have to ponder that.
That's not really much to ponder because every example of anybody that's done amazing things or lived an amazing life, they're flawed. I'm trying to break through something right now.
No, I know, and I'm like sweating bullets right now.
So tell me why you're not awesome.
Oh boy.
The fact that you have achieved and you succeeded despite that mindset tells me you're awesome. Now, what would happen if the mindset matched the achievement? You'd be even more awesome.
Mhm.
So tell me why you're not awesome. You see, the fact that you've got to struggle with this means it's just a story that has no legs.
No, I understand.
It means that other people have told you things on your journey that wasn't your truth, it was theirs.
Mm-hmm.
And they put it on you.
Mm-hmm.
So look at me and tell me that you're awesome.
You still want an answer?
No, just look at me and tell me that you're awesome.
Okay, I'm awesome.
You are.
Okay.
And it's really that simple. Because let me ask a question. Is the world a better place if you saw how awesome you were? And I saw how awesome I was, and Kathy saw how awesome she was. And I did my thing to my fullest. She did her thing to her fullest, and you did your thing to your fullest. Or is the world a better place if I doubt myself, you doubt yourself, she doubts herself, and we look at everybody around us and doubt them too? Which world do you want to live in?
The first one.
Yeah. So do your part and see who you are. The biggest gift you can give the world is you in your fullness. And all you have to do is claim it. You're a good person, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're a loyal person, right?
Yep.
You're a hard worker, right?
Yep.
You're a trusting person, right?
Yep.
What's not awesome about that? Do you see that your story that you've been carrying has no legs?
I'm getting there.
So the story you've been carrying is like when you go to Universal Studio and you walk through the movie set and the cowboy, and there's no building behind it. It's just
Right.
that's what you're living.
Facade.
Because behind the facade is nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Can you say it again? I'm awesome.
I'm awesome.
Yeah. Now look at me in the eye and say it. Don't look sideways. Just look at me and say it.
I'm awesome.
There's nothing wrong with that. It does not make you conceited. That does not make you think too much of yourself. That means you are living in your fullness. That doesn't take away from me or her or anybody else. That just means that, yeah, I am. And I'm here to live in my fullness. And I'm here to share the gift of who I am with the world. And you can be flawed and do that. Because even if you're flawed, you learn from your mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
When you're beating yourself up, and when you don't think that of yourself, then the mistakes that you make, you beat yourself up.
Mm-hmm.
Then you cheat us. So the fullness of who you are is not for you, it's for us. Make sense?
Got it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Kathy, anything?
The only other thing I wrote down was about forgiveness. Throughout the years, I was in my 30s when I found my first psychologist, and I also tried a lot of Christian churches and Christian friends and all that stuff. And everybody's like, you have to forgive. And I just couldn't do that. I mean, things done to me by my family, by elders, by men, I just couldn't forgive it. And and yet felt like I was always failing because I couldn't. And it wasn't even carrying the anger. I really let go of the anger and finally realized I don't have to forgive. Forgiving isn't, I mean, it's not a pain that I carry around that I don't forgive. People that haven't been sorry for the things they've done, and I'm not talking about one little thing or, one incident. I forgive a lot of things, but the people that repeatedly um, have hurt me, I don't see a need to give them forgiveness. I don't know what you tell others, but that's kind of where my thinking has been.
Yeah, there's different ways of looking at forgiveness. Forgiveness is really not about the other person.
Right.
It's for you, not them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the easiest way to forgive is realizing that the screwed up things that people do normally is about the screwed up things that they've went through. And there's a kind of compassion that I personally have learned to have for people who are screwed up, because hurting people hurt people.
Mhm.
And it's just the compassion of what they may have went through that allows me to forgive what they may have done. It's really about a compassion for other people's paths. Um, and like you said, if you can get over it, and there's some people that they're not going to be in your life at all, and if you feel like that, you feel like that. But forgiveness is not about letting them off the hook. Forgiveness is not about them, it's about you. So just a different way of looking at that. Okay, this has been great. Some great questions. Are you still feeling awesome, Denise?
I'm feeling awesome.
Do a lot of affirmations. Go on YouTube, look up affirmations. Just do a lot of affirmations. That story you're telling yourself is just programming. It's just
Mhm.
something that you were told along the way, and
Mhm.
you were told a way to look at that's thinking too much of yourself, or that's whatever we were taught, and
Mhm.
that's just garbage, right?
Mhm.
Even if we were to take the Bible and what we were taught, and what we were taught is you were made in the image of God, correct?
Right.
Is that pretty awesome? There
Right.
we go. There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for joining us tonight. The audience, I hope you got some golden nuggets out of some of the questions that were asked and answered tonight. And if you want to be on, let me know. Send me a private message, or let me know in the comments, and you can be a guest on if you got some questions you want to throw at me. But everyone, have a great night, and we will see you next week. Take care, and be well, and make sure to put it in your calendar to be with us next time. Okay? Take care.